the star of the show. You should. Every time I take a ride, I feel alive with nowhere to go. I'm the king of the road.
Welcome in, everybody. Hey, how we doing? Welcome in. How's everybody doing today? Everybody tap the screen. We'll let people get in here for a second. Thank you, Aries. It's no surprise. Hey, everybody. We are doing true crime tonight. Welcome in. Hey. I'm not gonna lie, before this I was watching Danny do her food pantry haul on live, showing all the stuff she got from the food pantry. Who's ready? Oh. Hey, Katie. Oh. Hey, Katie. Gonna let people get in here for a second. But we got true crime tonight. So everybody tap Mama and Aries whenever you want to come up. We can let the song play to the end. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. I'll go ahead and put that up for now.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Let Mama get up here.
That's a cute little banner.
Right? I just don't like that it shows my hair if I go in the frame. Hi, everybody. It should be good when I big box you guys too, I think. All right, everybody, who's ready? Hey, so if anybody missed it, we are doing true crime on Thursdays now. Mama, Aries, and I have each gone through and found a story that we're going to talk about. So tonight, Mama will kick us off, and then Aries will go, and then I will go. So if everybody can tap the screen for us, it would be greatly appreciated. And go ahead and share it out with anybody you might think would like to be here. Thank you, Sunflower, by the way. But if you guys can tap, that will help tremendously. All right. So Mama made a little intro before we get started here.
The following content may not be suitable for all people. Please know that viewer discretion is advised. If you have any sensitivities or triggers, please click out and come back when the stories are done.
All right. Mama, you're up first.
All right. So, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Because I got my earbud in. I might have to mute on occasion if my dog starts going crazy. But
Okay.
otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about, I don't know if anyone heard, it happened in May of 2014. And it is, I guess, the name they gave it now is the Slender Man Slabbings. And it was two young girls. I won't say their names just because at the time they were underage, even though now I think they are, I would say 25, if I did the math correctly. 24, 25, somewhere around there. But what had happened is they had a sleepover. It was 3 girls all together. And this was in Wisconsin. and they had a sleepover, and the main girl that planned everything, and I'm sorry if I stutter over my words, my first time having to speak out publicly, I guess, I don't know. But she had this preconception that she knew a way to prove that Slender Man was real. And I don't know if anyone has ever heard of creepypasta, but that is generally where the Slender Man myth started. It was all how it originally became is someone, an artist, made the Slender Man drawings. That's all it was. There was no story, nothing. And the images were taken to creepypasta and a story was put behind it. And then it just manifested. So these young girls were reading about Slender Man and decided if they committed a schmurder, it would get them into the good graces of Slender Man. And it would prove that Slender Man is real, that, they weren't crazy. So they had a sleepover. They had it all planned. The girl who was their victim didn't know anything was going on. They didn't treat her any differently. Nothing. So they went out for a picnic and went to play that day. Everything was normal according to the victim. And they came up behind her with I don't know how to say this for TikTok. KNIFE. I don't know how to say that for TikTok.
I usually say
But
jib jab.
is there what?
I usually say jib jab
Jib jab?
with a jib jab.
I'm gonna use that. So they came at her with the jib jab. And they ended up together jib jabbing her 19 times. And it was all to appease Slender Man. So they ended up running away after they did that because they thought she was going to unalive. They didn't think, she was going to survive. Well, she managed to crawl towards the road with 19 jib jabs in her. She managed to crawl to the road, and a cyclist saw her. The cyclist called the police. They, got to her. And then eventually the police went looking for her two friends because she was able to say their names and say, they did this to me. So the police found them, took them to the police precinct, and it came out that the main girl who was heading it, she was convinced all of this was real. The second girl, after talking to the police, she kind of realized it wasn't really a good idea because she got scared during it. She didn't participate as much. It was the main one that did most of the jib jabbing. So it was after this, before they went to trial, that the main girl was actually diagnosed with schizophrenia. And that is why they say that she had this preconception that, Slender Man was real. Because after she went into this whole deep dive of reading about Slender Man, it put in her head that this was real because she read it, she saw images, she was convinced. So she ended up, they both went to trial. Even though they were only 12 at the time, it was so horrific that they didn't try them as juveniles, they tried them as adults. Because of how bad it was. But later on, they were both found not guilty by mental disease or defect. So they ended up being committed, I guess is the right word to say. And that's where they had to stay. Now, I'm looking at my notes. They did try to get early release with monitoring. I know the main one petitioned in 2024 to be released from the mental institute. Both of them petitioned and got denied at first. It was, let's see, had a hearing for being possibly released. It was canceled because of new allegations against her. Because she was having not good communication with a man outside. Things she wanted to do, things in the line of schmurder with a man that was riding her. I
Did
don't know
she
how
know
they
the
didn't know
person
this previous.
beforehand, or did she meet him like through the mail?
She met them through the mail. She didn't know him beforehand. She said she didn't do anything inappropriate, but after they reviewed the letters, yeah. So she had a new hearing March 24th of this year, and now they said it was pushed back to April 28th. There's no news yet on that. I couldn't find exactly if they were going to, but it says when released, she would live in a group home and be under supervision into 2058. Which, I mean, in all honesty, I don't feel like she should be released, in my opinion. Especially if she was in a mental institute and was speaking to someone else about doing more schmurder. And she was also having sexual conversations with this individual. So, I don't think I can say the one word that they were describing. I don't know. I'm gonna say it real quick. Sadism. Schmexual. So, yeah, there is absolutely nothing wrong, and there is a very large stigma against people with her life and her husband's because they both have it. I won't get into that because that's not part of this, but they live a pretty normal life as long as you know what your hallucinations are and you have a way of telling them separate from reality. That's not the case for everyone, but there is a large stigma. And because of this, the school that they went to blocked creepypasta from all their school districts because they were afraid of this happening again. And there was even, by the creepypasta community, there was a 24-hour live stream held on the Tube of You for an entire 24 hours to raise the money for the victim. I think you just heard my cat, maybe.
Your cat was even like, what? I didn't know that. You think your cat was like, what?
Now, the victim, she no longer lives. Oh, my cat knocked something down. She no longer lives in Wisconsin. She's actually, as far as I've read, she's in college. She's a sophomore in college. She's trying to put that all behind her. She doesn't want to be contacted. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore, which completely understandable because that had to be traumatizing as hell. So, for the most part, they're not out yet, but they both could be getting release, and have to live in a group home, but they can't live in the same group home because they shared a joint kind of hallucination. So they can't live in the same group home. Pertain to the state of mind, so I'm not gonna read it. But yeah, they could be out sometime this year living in a group home, and then they just have to be under supervision until 2058. Which by that time,
Actually wild.
yeah, I think by that time they would be. Hold on, let me do the math real quick. Because right now,
Given how
they're
old
like,
they were when the crime happened, you'd think it would have been a little bit more lenient, almost, I feel like.
I think it's because of how bad the crime was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just wasn't a couple jib jabs, it was 19.
Yeah, that was a lot.
And they even asked the main girl if either of them had an issue with the victim. Were they mad at her? Like, was there an actual reason besides Slender Man behind this? And they said no.
Which is
They actually really
wild.
liked her.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild because, like, I mean, they're young girls and they're supposed to, like, just be worried about school and things like that. And this entire internet thing just blew up.
Because I think at 12, they would have been in middle school, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that it's like seventh,
So,
eighth grade, isn't it?
yeah, I'm trying, because my son. All right, hold on, I'm trying to do math again. Yeah, I think they would have been like 6th or 7th.
Okay. Yep.
So that for me is insane because my kids at 12 definitely weren't doing that. My son was jumping off bikes thinking he was Superman, so.
Welcome in,
Oh,
everybody.
wait.
If everybody
And
could
after
tap
this, there was.
too, just a reminder, if everybody can tap and like the live, it really helps keep it protected too, just so you guys know. Sorry.
No, you're good. And they did see an influx of people searching up Slender Man after this. Because I have this fascination with cases that are real life but have a supernatural aspect to it. I guess the only supernatural aspect of this one is that they believed in Slender Man. Which, I mean, if you look at my picture, he is incredibly creepy looking. He has no eyes. His arms are incredibly long. I think they said he's anywhere from like 7 to 9 feet tall, dressed in a suit. So basically, he's like a man in black. It's kind of what he looks like.
Have you ever watched Doctor
But
Who?
no.
There's a monster on there called the Silence, and when you're looking at him, you remember him. But the second you look away, you can't see him anymore, and it gives Slender Man vibes like big time.
Ugh. I mean, this kind of stuff fascinates me. Like, I feel terrible for the victim that she thought these two girls were her best friends, and it is sad. I don't know if anyone has any questions that I might be able to answer before it's Aries' turn.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Just a reminder, it is True Crime Thursday. I know this is a little different than normal, but if you have anybody you think might like to watch too, make sure to share it out. Tap your screen and just show some love because Mama and Aries, I will give full credit. Aries came up with this idea. This was something like middle of the night. She was like, it'd be really fun. And so I know Mama doesn't normally go on camera. And Aries hasn't been doing lives a lot lately, so this is pretty big. I think it's amazing. Ooh, there's a movie?
There's there's actually a few movies and some documentaries on the lore of Slender Man. That's how I had learned that it was just an artist that drew up Slender Man, no story behind it, nothing. And then someone wrote a story, not thinking it would get this big, but used the images that the person made of Slender Man and made up the story, and then people just kept adding to the story. I don't know if anyone's ever watched Supernatural. But they had an episode where if people read it online, it kind of manifests into a real life thing. Not saying Slender Man is real because of that, but that's kind of what this is, where so many people think the same thing and add to it to where it just becomes its own life force in a way. Because everyone, even if you haven't read stories or seen the movies, everyone knows at least the name Slender Man. Because it's gotten so worldwide. Yeah, mass hysteria. There you go. In a way, mass hysteria. It's just so many people read about it, think about it, that they start to believe in it.
Duchess of Dallas had asked if you think one of the girls talked the other girl into doing it.
1 minute, but and I will answer that.
Okay. Welcome in, everybody. If everybody can tap, please and thank you. It helps a lot. And I personally will say on this one, because I remember this crime, I do think that one of them had a bigger influence than the other one. If I remember right, I believe the one was really, really obsessed with Slender Man, and she got her friend kind of into it, but I think, in my opinion, Mama might disagree, but it always felt like the one friend talked the other into doing it a little bit more.
Yes, she did talk her into it. The main one that ended up being diagnosed with schizophrenia, she is the one that showed the other girl, Slender Man, and got her into, the creepypasta and all of the lore that came with it, and kind of convinced her. It's kind of like, oh, if my best friend believes it, I should believe it too, because why would my best friend lie to me?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Especially at that age. You don't really question your friend telling you something, because you're like, of course it's real. Plus you have an imagination at that age more. You don't really look for the logic. So she definitely convinced her that it was real, and it wasn't until after the attempted murder that she kind of realized what happened. And that, maybe Slender Man's not real. But they both got, what was it? Not guilty by mental disease or defect.
Okay.
So, I don't know if anyone else had any other questions.
I think that was the only one. Should we move on to Aries?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions while Aries is talking, I can answer in the chat.
Ooh, that's a good idea. And we can always turn back at the end, too.
Yeah, and if anyone had any questions about what we talked about. All right, Aries, it's your turn, boo.
Aries! Okay, so if you hear me going like, mind your business, okay? I have allergies, so I'm gonna be reading my notes. We're gonna be talking about Alexee Trevizo. If you guys don't know, she's from Artesia, New Mexico. I think that's like close to Hobbs. I might be wrong. So basically in January of 2023, Alexee Trevizo, which she was 19 at the time, had visited the hospital complaining about severe back pain. The hospital staff discovered she was in labor that night, and something she didn't really tell them. Alexee gave birth in the hospital bathroom to a baby boy, and the newborn was later found to be unalived in the bathroom trash can. Alexee was arrested, and she was charged with first-degree unaliving and tampering with evidence. Artesia General Hospital is being sued for the wrongful unaliving of Alexee's baby for negligence and the medications administered to her, causing her, quote-unquote, to make that decision. And they're also filing for her case to be dismissed. So that's kind of like the overall of what's going on. The important details, I would say, is like in July of 2023, a New Mexico judge had ruled that the footage from the hospital and statements that Alexee had made to the staff was inadmissible. And so they argued that it violated her patient-doctor confidentiality, and it violated her Miranda rights. And we'll get back into that. So in July of 2024, a year later, it says the prosecution appealed to the suppression ruling, arguing that it was a key part of their case. Another important detail was that the autopsy report determined that the baby boy was born alive. So the cause of unaliving was ruled as a homicide. As stated on the body cam footage, her baby was born at full term. She allegedly put him in a bag tied a knot in it, put him in the bottom of the trash can, and put another liner on top of him so no one would find him. Yes, thank you. I had other pictures I was going to show of her, but I wanted to wait a second. Thank you for putting that up. Her trial and conviction. Okay, so in an article in August of 2024, it was said that the trial was supposed to be in October. However, after the ruling in July, Alexee's trial has been placed in like a quote-unquote legal limbo. Since the prosecutor's main evidence has been deemed inadmissible, her trial has been paused so it can go before the New Mexico Supreme Court. The defense team has asked for the case to be dismissed. They've asked.
Can I say something really quickly?
Yeah.
If you're having a lag, you probably need to go to your app store because TikTok updated last night. I've had it up on my iPad this whole time and it's not lagging for me. So if you have a lag, you probably need to go check and see if the app has updated for you. If not, I really don't know what else to do.
Yeah, you might have to just go in and out a couple times, but other than that, I would just tap your screen because if it's lagging and you've done everything possible, it's not gonna. There's nothing we could do.
And also, maybe try restarting your phone. I don't know. That's the only other thing I can think of.
Yes. I don't know. TikTok has been acting weird. It's been glitching. So if it's not working the way it's supposed to be, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, sorry. The defense team has, due to the massive media attention, and they're wanting to get like a more fair trial. The last update was at the end of December of 2024, and as of 2025, Alexee is currently free on bond pending her trial. Her lawsuit and her defense. Let me put these pictures up real quick. Okay. Okay. Yes. It says pictures related to the case. I made like a whole little thing on it. So her main defense when it came to this was that she didn't know she was pregnant and it was the hospital's fault for giving a pregnant woman medicine and not telling her explicitly that she was pregnant. This is one picture. This is one picture of her. This is another one of her on the side. And then this is when they went to her house afterwards. Her stomach is more flat. I mean, she's still got a little bit of weight, but her stomach is more flat. And when I say she's got a little bit of weight, I don't mean that in a bad way. And then this was her. So in her pictures, you can tell. I'm sorry, but even
Was she saying during these pictures that she didn't know she was pregnant?
Yes. So when these pictures surfaced on the internet and people were like, dude, how did you not know? She's still stuck by I had no idea. There's cryptic pregnancies. Women don't know, blah, 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 blah. She's claiming her and nobody around her knew that she was pregnant. So I'm going to leave this picture up while I'm talking about this for a second. So she's claiming she didn't know. The direct quote from the defense is, according to our experts, the baby didn't have a chance of survival and didn't survive. The medicine, and he says directly which one it was, but I don't want to say it, and the negligence of the hospital was the direct and true cause of the unaliving, unquote. When asked how to justify the baby being put, unquote. When asked how to justify the baby being put into the trash can, Mitchell replied, what else was she supposed to do? How are you supposed to think when you're on all of this medication? You know, normally allow them to do anything unassisted. That's the reason we have rails on beds, for example. That's the reason we have nurses watching, end quote. There have been no further updates or reports about her lawsuit with the hospital. According to an article in July of 2024, it says that her suit has been filed.
Hey, Aries.
Okay.
I'm going to end and come right back before you start the next point. And we'll just try that because it is kind of starting to glitch on my iPad. So we'll see if it helps, but I can't make any promises to anybody. So
No, you're good.
2 seconds. I really hate to do this, but I'll be right back.